Now, to say that there's been controversy around EA's handling of the Star Wars license thus far would be a rather giant understatement. Be it the fact that the first Battlefront game from them was released without any sort of campaign mode at all, and was light on content in general, with the future content being locked behind a paywall or season pass, or that the second Battlefront game from them was met with one of the biggest outcries of anger I've ever seen from a fan base as well as gamers in general, thanks to the microtransaction situation, to the recent anger and frustration players of Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, a game I've been playing for over 3 years now, are experiencing with that game, which is something I'll talk about in a future video on my second channel. Anyway, it seems like almost everything EA does has some sort of problem with it, with Jedi Fallen Order seemingly being the only exception to that rule. Not that there's been a ton of games to have a problem with, I suppose, which is yet another problem in itself, that there's only been 3 major releases thus far from EA, and 2 of them were Battlefront titles. And so clearly gone are the days of LucasArts when it felt like we frequently got multiple games a year, not to mention a variety of different types of Star Wars games. Which now brings us to the release of the trailer for EA's latest game, Star Wars Squadrons, which visually looks good. There was nothing mind-blowing about it really, and I'm kind of sad that there wasn't any announcement about whether or not this is coming to the new Xbox or PS5. In fact, and granted we haven't seen gameplay footage yet, but I don't know that it'll look all that different from anything we've seen out of space combat in Battlefront 2, though that could certainly and likely will change to some degree when we see more at EA Play in a few days. Still, right now, first impressions have this feeling like Squadrons is going to be a sort of expansion of Battlefront 2, or like it should have been part of that game, and it's only going to cost $39.99, which indicates this will not be an extremely robust game or have a higher price tag, I'd imagine. Now, I'm not saying it'll be bad because of that, but to me that says expect this to be more like an elaborate version of space battles from Battlefront 2, more so than it being any sort of brand new and very distinct feeling game, and it's being made by Motive, who worked on Battlefront 2, so that makes sense. And the good news here, I suppose, is that we don't have to wait long to play it. It's coming out on October 2nd of this year, and that there will be no microtransactions, that everything will be earned through gameplay, as it should be, and that there will be lots of customization and upgrade options that can be unlocked. Another cool feature is that this will be cross-platform supported, so if you've got a PS4 and your friend has an Xbox One, or they play on a PC, you'll be able to still play together. And speaking of playing together, like with the Battlefront games from EA, the focus here will be on multiplayer, but there is a single-player campaign mode, one that will be set after the Battle of Endor, and will see you play as both Imperial and Rebel pilots. And I certainly won't be stunned when this is some way connected to the campaign mode of Battlefront 2, which was set in the exact same time period. I could also see this connecting to the book Alphabet Squadron, or the upcoming sequel to it. We even briefly see Hera in the trailer for Squadrons, and she was of course in that book. Other than that, we don't really know all that much just yet. One concern I have is that thus far we've only seen or heard about being able to play ships from the original trilogy era, and as much as I love flying an X-Wing, I hope we get the prequel era and we get ships and scenarios from that as well. The sequel trilogy, I'm not so worried about. It's all TIE fighters and X-Wings again anyway, and really slow-moving bombers, which actually could be interesting if you could have multiple players in one bomber, one to very slowly fly the ship at the target, and a couple of gunners to defend it. Anyway, as much as I love original trilogy ships and flying them, I really want to be able to play some Clone Wars era epic space battles, be they whole new scenarios or famous ones like the Battle of Coruscant. That's something I think is an absolute must for this game, and I'm guessing will be a deal breaker for a lot of people if not included. So overall here, I think we need to see a lot more to be impressed and to make any sort of real judgment, and I mean that in more ways than one, because obviously right now we don't really know much. This wasn't much of a reveal of anything, and when we do learn more, there needs to be quite a bit here, which is why the cheaper price tag has me more worried than excited. I'd pay the $20 extra for a bigger, more in-depth game, one with a great campaign and multiple different ways to play, as well as some engaging single-player play beyond just the campaign mode. And if this is just going to be a game set in the original trilogy era with a quick, lackluster campaign mode to somewhat appease those who love that sort of thing, and it's little more than space battles from Battlefront 2 with a few more features or different types of scenarios and some sort of progression system, that's going to be a bit disappointing. But if we do get multiple eras, mainly the Clone Wars era, with plenty of different types of ships that all feel unique and offer different gameplay experiences, and there's that campaign mode I keep talking about, or maybe other cool single-player modes, then I do have hope for this game. Again, I feel like we just have to wait and see more, and our next look at this game, which will include gameplay footage and likely a lot more elaboration on the features, will be at EA Play this coming Thursday, June 18th. Well, that's all I've got for you this time. Now it's your turn to tell me what you thought of this brief trailer. Does it look good so far, or not? Or was this just not enough to formulate any type of real opinion? Also, do note that any future coverage of this game for me is likely going to be on my other channel. Anyway, leave a comment below and let's talk some Star Wars. And until next time, thanks for watching.